had a couple more days now to reflect just on Sunday. Any additional observations from what you thought after the game?
No, not really. I think exactly what I thought then, I think now. I think we played some really good stuff at times throughout the game. We should have scored more goals than we did. But overall, yeah, pleased.
For you all, obviously a little bit of a different formation lineup that we saw on Sunday from last year. Do you feel like this is a place where you're still figuring it out, or are you feeling pretty comfortable about what your options are and what the formation looked like on Sunday?
Yeah, I think when we naturally lost Pino, that was an area where I thought, do we try and find a similar replacement, or do we need to look at a bit of a shift in formation? And I think especially with Emery, I think we've gained someone who could play very similar to Pino. But I do think that this new formation suits a lot of our group and gives us flexibility throughout the year to change if and when needed.
We saw debuts for all of the international players you signed, and then Emery as well. You've obviously seen these players a lot more. There's a reason they're here, but were you even more pleasantly surprised than fans just to see what they were able to put out in a match environment, or is that kind of expected for you?
No, I think they played at an expectation level that we have for them. I think for sure. I think whenever there's new people come to the league and they're in a new team, it can always take time. I think it was great that it seemed quite seamless, but I've been in this league long enough to know that could also be a one-off. So I think we've got to just keep working at our stuff and getting everybody used to playing with each other, which I think is key. I think I said it on Sunday. I think the fact that we've hardly trained together as a group, you wouldn't have known that going in. I think that was the most pleasing part. So I think there's loads of room for improvement on us, loads of ceiling above us to go and reach, which I think is the most exciting piece.
My turn, sorry. Obviously I was talking to Emery, and you've said that she's very good and you're very excited about her, but can you expand a little bit more on the characteristics of her game and her as a person that made you so certain that you wanted to sign her after 2 days of preseason?
Yeah, I think just her ability to get at people 1v1. She's an exceptional crosser, and in and around the box she's got an eye for goal, and those things often are things that you can't, if people just don't have that in them, you can't really change too much, but when it's in them you can really evolve it, and I think they were the things that jumped out about her.
And was a lot of that what you saw sort of in her youth national team appearances in the Pan American Games, or specifically in preseason
Specifically in preseason.
So you maybe scouted a little bit from those other games? She had mentioned that you probably saw her at the Pan American Games. Is that?
Yeah, I'd seen footage of her for sure, but I think it's really hard to judge. I think it's really hard to judge talent at that age against the people that they're playing against until you see them in your environment. So I think I knew seeing the footage of her that I wanted to see her in our environment, but once I saw her in our environment, then I was like, okay, she's very good.
Is there anything particular that you feel has made her fit into the professional environment so seamlessly?
I think she's really mature. She's very dedicated to evolving herself and developing herself. She's just, so happy to be here, I think. And she isn't just I'm here and that's it. She sees this as, her life. She's taken her career into her own hands. And I think, even in Costa Rica, she came on, she played 20 minutes. She set up 2 goals, but she came off absolutely furious at herself that she didn't score. And I was like, okay, I'll take that. Not everyone has that in them. Right. So I think that's a huge asset that she also has.
Well, that's all I have for you for that.
I have a couple more. New turf at Lumen, I was just wondering, we've seen with a couple of Sounders games, it seemed like the ball was moving a little slower, but didn't seem like that for you all. You had a training session before, but what's just the overall new turf feel like?
Yeah, it's definitely slower. Mm-hmm. I think new turf tends to be that way because it's not fully like bedded in yet, and there's loads of beads on it. So I think it's either really sticky, which it was at times, or it's really slippery on the surface. I think you saw a few people fall over at the weekend. So yeah, I think with time it'll get better, I think.
And then you haven't really had a lot of time yet to settle into Starfire this season since you were traveling in the preseason, but it is your first year being the sole tenant here. And I'm wondering, has it felt different yet, or do you expect it to kind of moving forward feel a lot more like your home?
I think when we get to move into our new space, I think it will feel like our home. I think we're still in the same place that we were last year, except the field, so everything else has stayed the same, so that hasn't tended to feel different yet. But I think when the construction's finished on the locker room and the stuff's done with that and we can move in there, which I think's a few weeks away, I think then it will feel a little bit more homely to us.
And how are Alana and Veronica doing? They were doing some work on the side, but progressing well?
They're progressing well. I think at this stage of the season you never really want to push people too quickly. I think if this was the end of the season, we'd probably be moving at a faster pace with both of them. Alana's has definitely taken longer than anyone expected, really. But yeah, I think we're at a point now where she's on the field and she's in training, so she's not far away.
And then just looking ahead to this weekend, Chicago got a win and maybe showed a good amount of grit, and I'm just wondering, what are your expectations going into this game? You've only seen them in one NWSL match so far, but new coach, kind of new playing style. What are your expectations for them?
Yeah, I think they seem to be a team that are quite resilient. I think that's been a Chicago thing for as long as I've known this league. They're quite happy to defend it, because they feel that they can get you in transitional moments. I think they did a good job of that against Utah. Utah had a ton of the ball. They're quite patient in that as well, which I think is a really good trait. So yeah, I think when you've got the quality that they have and they're organised and they look like they're hard to break down, I think that's always a challenge. So I think it's also going to be like ridiculously cold when we're there, which is not looking forward to. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game for us. Chicago tends to be a really tough place to go to, and I don't expect anything different.